Hello, JF2. I am not by any stretch of the imagination a good or practiced streamer. As I've said in the past, I do this just for the pure fun of it and no other reason. This isn't my primary means of engaging or anything. I mainly do it so I don't feel alone playing video games on Sunday nights at this point. Nonetheless, I cannot figure out how to start streams and when to start streams because there's always that little tiny delay between hitting broadcast and when it actually shows up on YouTube, and then when people start to trickle in. So I want to give people a chance to trickle in, and be here from the beginning as if they're not just going to watch from the beginning anyway or just pick up whatever. And then on top of that, I never know, do I do a preamble or an introduction, or do we just jump right into the game? And I do keep an eye on the clock, and okay, now it's 7 o'clock, and it's like, okay, technically, now this is when I said I would start, but do I let people wander in? And then I don't really get a very good update of how many people are actually watching anyway, so I don't know. So here we are. Like, my phone tells me that there is no one but me watching, but my PlayStation overlay, which I moved to the upper right, tells me that there are 3 or 4 people, some number of people watching. So I don't know. Whatever. I am here. And now I need a sip of my water. So here we are, back with another casual, crappy, hello Avatar Cliffy, casual, crappy, critical, crud, liquor, Hollow Knight stream, picking up where we left off, kind of, because I actually moved back to a previous bench just so that we could spend a little bit more time talking about Fog Canyon, because I think it is much more significant. Is the game bigger? No. No, it's not. Is the game bigger? It does look bigger. Am I crazy? Does it look bigger than it was? It looks zoomed in. Is something different? The HUD looks different. Why? Is there a... Did it get scaled up? No. I don't know what is... There might have been. Was there an update? I'm not crazy, right? It looks bigger. It looks almost as big as Silksong. Oh, there was an update. There was an update a few days ago. I don't know what's in it. Okay. Well, this is going to completely throw me off now. I was just finding my groove again. All right, fine. Apparently it may be bigger. Who knows? It really does feel bigger. Really does feel bigger. Uh-oh. Alright, well, it's not like I was good at it anyway, so whatever. So as I was saying, I moved back to a previous bench because I wanted to talk a little bit more about Fog Canyon, because I really think it's a much more important little moment in the game than is probably realized. At this point, as we've been playing through, we've now played through 2 major areas, not counting the tutorial area and the little town at the start. Did I go this way? I did, right? Oh no, I have the lantern now. Okay, we're not gonna go this way because I didn't have the lantern. Okay. Anyway, we've now played through 2 major areas, Green Path and Forgotten Crossroads. And in both of them, we learned this sort of pattern where you enter a new area, you kind of wander around, you bump into dead ends, and then eventually you find the map. The map helps you find the goal. The goal helps you get an upgrade. The upgrade helps you move on. And then we move on to the third area, Fog Canyon. And one of the first things that's noticeable about it right away is that it is a descent area. We are going downward, which is the worst. Okay. And of course, we wander off the beaten path, and we immediately, and I commented on this last time, we immediately hear our friend the map maker, and we hit an obstacle. At this point, though, we're old hat at this. We're thinking, okay, I can't, there's nothing I can do about this obstacle. It's just this weird obstacle. Whatever. I will well, shit. That went badly. I will probably find a way around, because the game has taught me that what it's going to do is it's going to loop me around, and it's going to give me the map, because I can hear the map maker humming away. I know what that means now. Okay. This area does a couple of really nasty things, though. The first thing, as I said, is you are moving downward. And moving downward is terrible. Compared to moving upward, compared to moving left or right, you have much less of an ability to see where you're going, and your ability to react is a lot less because you're falling down instead of jumping up. And so while you have the same amount of control falling as you do jumping, you nonetheless are less in control. And this area is going to be entirely descending. The other thing is that we encounter these guys, and we kill these guys, and then their little brain pops out and comes after us. And it's very fast, it's very aggressive. It's got a large area. And the other thing is that it does 2 hits of damage, which you probably saw before. It does 2 hits of damage, and it's the first time. Oh, I didn't go this way the first time around. I missed this. Okay, so it's the first time we've encountered something that does double damage, as opposed to Silksong, where the first time you encounter something that does double damage is the moment you turn on the game, because fuck you, everything does double damage. Okay, so just file all of this away for the moment. And then we have a little platforming section here. And I've already talked about the game's little platforming challenges and how it gives you these areas where it's just, go through a little platforming area and then a platforming challenge and then find a secret or find a power-up or whatever. We found the thorn charm earlier doing that. And then we end up here. And we can't go any further. I'm actually kind of lost. Oh, okay. So we can't go up there. And there's a gate. We can't open the gate because the lever is on the other side. Hello, Kate. And we have another one of these shadow things. So we're probably thinking now, oh, I'm going to get some... Okay, so here's the thing. I have been playing a little bit of Silksong in my free time instead of practicing this. So I keep trying to do the little ramp up, the little kip up where you grab the wall and pull yourself up. And Hollow Knight doesn't do that the way Silksong does. Silksong is very athletic. Silksong can just pull herself up the edge of a ledge, or the edge of a thing. Also, I keep trying to hit my floaty cloak. Yeah, this is going to be a disaster. Okay. And as was noted in the chat, that you can scroll down to get kind of an advance, to kind of see the next platform that you're going to drop onto. But of course, as soon as you start moving, the screen then... Yeah, there we go. And I just lost 2 health. As soon as you start moving, then the screen snaps back to where it was. Whoops. Okay. And a lot of people have also observed that as you move down in this game, as you fall, there's a term for it, by the way. It's called the jitterbug, where you're falling and you try to land on a platform and you manage to miss every platform you fall past, which I'm very good at the jitterbug. There's just something about moving down that feels wrong-footed. Okay. Anyway, and I think this way, we can't go any further this way. So there's a lot of acid, there's those shadowy things. We're still hoping for a way to get around to the map. Yada yada yada. We're moving. Well, okay, that was wrong. You can't outrun those things. And yet, instead of avoiding them, I just keep trying to kill them. Okay, and then we get to the signboard. We have Millabelle the banker. Right, and I think we've already encountered her. She lets us deposit money so that we will not lose it on death. And we'll go ahead and we'll give her some money since I already bought the lantern. Okay. We'll come back and we'll keep depositing money with her, and we'll pretend we don't know what's going to happen. There are a couple of people who are apparently watching who have never actually played Hollow Knight, including someone who left a comment. So I am going to pretend I don't know what's happening. So, and then we find this area, and we had already met Quirrell and come here. And then we have a fast travel location and this big old train station, this big old hub station, which feels significant, by the way, because it is like this travel hub. And it is a quiet area. There's no music. There's no enemies. There was just reflective Quirrell. And then we move on for more Fog Canyon, only it's not Fog Canyon anymore. We're now in a different area, the fungal wastes. And that was it. That was all of Fog Canyon. Was just that terrible descent, a bunch of dead ends we couldn't get past. We didn't even find the map, and now it's just gone. And what the game is doing there, so first of all, it's not immediately obvious, but Fog Canyon is actually, oh, and there's papers on the floor that suggest to us that our friend the map maker is down here now. Okay, so we're going to go down here. So, although it's not obvious, Fog Canyon is actually a late game area. Okay, and we'll say hello to Cornifer here. Oh no, I don't have enough what is this, Silksong? I don't have enough money? Okay. Oh, damn it. We'll have to gather some money. Oh, this is also the first place where, like, if we hit these mushrooms, we kind of bouncy. And then, like, you can see there's a place where we want to get over. And so the mushrooms sort of, like, it teaches you right there what to do. Right? It's like, oh, there's a wall. I can almost get over it. The mushrooms are bouncy when I hit them. Maybe I'll bouncy off the top of them. It very effectively just gets you to experiment there. Just to discover what the bouncy mushrooms do. I shouldn't have deposited all my money with Millabelle. That's okay. And the other thing, too, is that those shadowy barricades are something that we won't be able to pass until very, very late in the game. And more interestingly is just the way the area passes. Whoops. And then we can't get up here. Okay. It's just the way Fog Canyon passes so quickly and unceremoniously. And it only works. I'm trying to decide, to figure out what I'm trying to describe here. So the first thing that it's doing is it has broken a pattern. The game has now established the rules of the game, right? Where we, as I said, you go into an area, find the map, and then find the boss or find the power up. Actually, it's find the boss, then find the power up, and then move on. And all of a sudden, we had an area that was just passing through. It deliberately let us know that we couldn't get the map. It made us. It put us up against enemies, like in these tight, constrained corridors, falling down against enemies that did double damage and were difficult to avoid. And then it drops us in Queen Station, where we're just kind of like, okay, this is a quiet area to reflect. which is good because that moment to reflect, and then you pop out in a new area is like, wait, what the hell was that? Okay, all right, I'm talking and not paying attention to what was happening because what I did was just stupid. It is. Hey, Chunk Flunkins. Thanks for doing this, Angry. I tried to catch it on Twitch a long time ago. Yeah, and then I only ended up doing like once or twice on Twitch, and then I didn't follow up. Hey, BC the 56th. So, but this is going to be complete now. We're going through the whole thing, and then we got to do the sequel. All right. I guess it's really hard sometimes to talk about this shit. Because the thing is, it's such a subtle thing that only means something after... Okay. They explode. Everything explodes. Okay. It's such a subtle thing that as you play through the first time... Oh, I have enough money for the map. Let's go back and get the map. That'll give me more time to talk. It's such a subtle thing that you almost don't even notice it because it's gone so fast. It's like, oh, okay. And then I'm in a new area, and then I'm in my groove again. And notice also that it gives us the map right away this time. In Fungal Waste here where we are. Okay, and then we're going to take a look at the map, and we're going to see what it tells us. And this is a really dense map. Yeah, I'm still skipping out on the quill, though I really don't know why. I do find these maps very pretty. Like, there is something pretty about the way the map looks when you don't have the quill. And I want to make it a point to look at what each of these maps is doing. And I should buy one of the pins just so that I can put markers on the map. But so it's a little bit trickier now to figure out where we are on the map. And we are down below and to the right of Queen Station, and we can't go any further to the right here. I should get the compass. That's what I should do. We can't go any further to the right because there's a gate. And the left dead ends. And I think we went this way already. Yeah. See, there's a gate. We're going to have to come around from the other side. But notice how the map shows us that. We're going to come around from the other side. So it wants us to go circle around. And then it shows us two interesting markers. All the way on the right, there's that big horny guy. So we probably figure, okay, there's a boss of some kind. And then there's that little house thing just to its left, which is probably some kind of village or merchant. So we're going to go up, go around to the right, and then, find that little village, and then head to the right and fight a boss. And meanwhile, there is a vertical column, and it's showing us, by the way, this vertical column goes back to Forgotten Crossroads, which is where the game does its first sort of complete multi-area loop, where it now gives us the opportunity to go back to Forgotten Crossroads with the power-ups that we have to see if we can't discover more, or to go to the merchant and buy stuff. And there are actually things we could go back and discover now in the Forgotten Crossroads. We're not going to do that quite yet, though. There was a question, by the way. I don't know why I'm insisting on trying to fight that guy. There was a question in the comments from Artentivo about whether I thought the design in this game was intentional or accidental. Yeah, see these flowers, they shoot these little spores, and then the spores track you, and then they explode. And the real thing is we don't actually need to kill them. We just need to avoid. And then we can grab an item. And we're grabbing these items and we don't even know what they are, and I haven't been looking at their descriptions. These things are collectibles. Yeah, down here. Okay. This item now holds little value except for those dedicated to the kingdom's history. So they are basically... That's sort of implying that they are a collectible that we'll hand off to someone for some reason. Okay, and nothing over here. Yeah, JF is saying, I'm glad I'm not the only person who plays like a genocidal maniac. I have always had to kill everything in every game. Like, even in the Mega Man games, I have to kill all the things. In the Souls games, I kill all the things. I don't leave anything alive. And then we have a gate and a... And we know we need to get up here. And there's nothing on the map that indicates how to get around it, but we have a gate and a lever. But there is also this passage off to the right. So we'll go ahead and take that, and we get our first screamy mushrooms. I keep forgetting also that Hollow Knight does not gain height. When he pogos, he doesn't do a little backflip the way Silksong does. So I keep trying to do like multiple down strikes, and I'm not getting the same height that I'm expecting. Silksong has tainted me here. Yeah, he pogos like a normal person. Yeah, he pogos like he's not trying to get a 9 out of 10 score from the Canadian judge. That said, okay. I also want to say, like, the art design in this area with the filter and the particle effects and how hazy and foggy it is, I feel almost allergic to this area. Like, I can imagine that if I was in this place in real life, I could not breathe. And I fired off my shot instead of healing. Like, it's just an area that immediately fills my sinuses. It's really effective. And now that gate is open. So again, another little loop. Okay, and then on the map now, we're here at the top of this area with a place that looks like a proscenium arch. And now we understand what it is. It's not a stage, it's this little room with these fungal guys who obviously are nothing. Oops. Actually, so what I'm going to say is, I don't think this area feels rancid. Okay, there is a very particular smell that I imagine this area having. Okay. Back in the 90s, when Earthbound came out, it was packaged with a strategy guide. And at the back of the strategy guide was a bunch of scratch and sniff stickers. And one of the scratch and sniff stickers was a very earthy smell, and it had a picture of the like the Trillion-Age Sprout or the mushroom, one of the mushroom bosses or whatever, and the smell was mushroom. It was a very distinct smell. I just jumped into the acid. It was a very distinct smell, and that is what I imagine this area smells like. That's an interesting trip down memory lane. Anyway, we're going to climb up this vertical shaft just because we can explore it, even though we know where it's going to go. There's no way through there. But the map tells us it's bringing us back to the upper area, but we're not really going to go explore. And then we meet this dude, Leg Eater, who wants money to show us something nice. I forgot his name is Leg Eater. It's really creepy. Why is his name Leg Eater? Okay, and he's offering to sell us these charms that will increase our health, increase our money drop, or increase our strength. But they're all fragile charms. which we don't know what that means yet, but what it means is that if you die while you're wearing it, it breaks, and then you have to get it replaced or repaired. Oh, I have the compass. We're going to put the compass on just to make it easier for me to talk about the map. Okay? Anyway, so now we can see where we are, where I is. And I is making my way up this vertical shaft that supposedly ends back at the Forgotten Crossroads. These enemies, by the way, so appreciating that little moment right there, what just happened to me, and what just happened to me again, this shows the level of care that went into the individual enemy designs and placing them in the different areas. Because those floaty balloon guys who spray down when they see you under them are absolutely perfect for a vertical area where you're doing a lot of upward movement. Because, like, when you drop, you do tend to use the look down feature. But very rarely, like when you jump, if you can't see something on the platform above you, then you're just happy to jump. You don't, oh, I should look up and see what's up there. And then in a case like that, you jump into the spray of a creature that was floating just off screen. But if we had scanned up, we would have seen it. I have to give them props for that enemy design. It's a very clever enemy design for that particular room and this particular area. Oh, we have another vibrating floor, which we may remember from earlier because we're in Forgotten Crossroads now. In the upper right of Forgotten Crossroads, where all those pink crystals were, there is another floor like that. So we'll want to remember that. But that one's not very salient compared to the one by the crystals. Okay, and then we can now see where we are. We come back out here. But we'll come back here in a bit. And also note that the Mothwing Cloak now lets us use this area, use that passage to get back, which also provides an alternate entrance to Fog Canyon. So if after getting the Mothwing Cloak, we had decided to go back to the Forgotten Crossroads and explore instead of moving forward, and we hadn't found the entrance to Fog Canyon, this is Fungal Waste, not Fog Canyon, then we could pick up the game's path here and still be where we want to be. I'm just going to go ahead and heal again. Also, I keep forgetting that holding down the R button, or the R2, doesn't make you dash. Which gets me back to the question that antimony, arsenic, aluminum, selenium, Artentivo, I had to check my notes, that Artentivo asked about how much of the design that I think is intentional and how much is accidental. And I will say, first of all, I know that a lot of the design decisions that they made about this, that I consider to be very artful decisions, were intentional. Because they gave interviews. In fact, Game Maker's Toolkit, the YouTube channel, did a Boss Keys episode about the world design of this game. And he did some email exchanges with Team Cherry about how they designed this game. So a lot of the design is intentional. But I think the more important question, and I think the question that was actually being asked, is less about intentional versus accidental, is more about conscious versus intuitive. Okay, because yeah, I'm gonna risk getting blown up for a bunch of money. That's another thing that I insist on doing, is I cannot leave money behind. So is the difference between conscious design decisions and intuitive design decisions. Because as I noted in last time, it is very clear while playing this game that William and Ari played many of the same games that I played and loved as a child. And I mentioned Super Metroid, Adventure of Link, Xanadu, Mega Man, DuckTales, right? All of that is in this game's DNA. And it is entirely possible that just by playing the games with a keen love of those games and then imitating it, that they would have stumbled on the design and just made a game that works really well just because they played the game so much and they learned what they do, and there is an intuitive understanding that you get. You know, it's kind of like just like I've played all these games, I want to make my own game now, and I'm just going to make a game that feels good and that is the game I want to play. And if you have developed an intuitive and an experiential understanding of those games, then you will pull that off reasonably well. But it is also possible that you, after playing games for a while, if you have a passion for game design, you start to analyze the design and try to figure out what is it doing, which is kind of the whatchamacallit, it's the sort of mission statement behind my idea of doing critical playthroughs, where I want to look at what the game is doing and understand how it works and why it works, or if it doesn't work, why it doesn't work, what, you know, how is it put together and how does that make it work. So, and that's another way to also start to come to understand the game design, so that then when you design your own game, you know, if that's something that you eventually have designs on doing, now you have not just this intuitive and experiential understanding, but you also have a conscious framework to back it up. And I think the answer is, in most cases, it's a little of column A and a little of column B. It's, oh, hey, so we have to go chase Hornet again, because she ran away and we've encountered her again. And also we notice we're near the little village thing, and what the village thing actually is it's this weird sign. Whatever this weird sign means. Okay, but now, okay, so we're going to have to fight her again. That's what the little horn thing is. Only, well, we can't because the bridge is out. Though, I will say the first time I walked into this area, I just kept walking because I didn't realize that bridge was only in the background. Okay, so this is the gate to the city itself. That we had, you know, that we started. This is sort of closing the loop that we started with. Whatchamacallit, at the start of Green Path. But we can't go any further. And it's sort of appropriate that we're going to close that loop by chasing Hornet again. And also, Kate commented on, I like how the gassy mushroom beetles are similar to the other gassy mossy dudes. And yeah, this is again a part of the deliberate visual language and animation language that lets you intuit how different enemies are going to behave, because the enemy designs are similar between one and another, and there are certain things that you can start to associate, like even things like that dude's little proboscis nose. Like there are creatures that have little spitty noses, and that sort of signals to you that they're going to do spitty, shooty things. Okay. And now we can see we're in the path heading back here, and now we have completed that loop. So now we have a quick way back to the Queen's Station, which does mean we could go back to that bench and save there. But also now notice that we're out of options. Okay, we can go back to the Forgotten Crossroads, but that doesn't seem right. And we can't get to that boss fight place. We can't get to, and we've otherwise explored fully, the map is showing us. Obviously, it continues down further, but this is the first area where the goals that are on the map are actually false goals, and the real goal of this area is not on the map. And that goes back to what I said from the beginning, is that in every area of the game, they do something a little bit different with the map after the first two areas. The first two areas are there to kind of teach you the normal pattern. You know, and now we're departing from that. Now it's like, okay, the answer is not on the map this time. This time I have to explore off the map to figure out where to go next. Cornifer is not helping me in this area. It also is worth noting that this area is... Yeah, he does, you're right. Chunk Flunkins is pointing out that I'm getting blown up because I'm reading the chat. Chunk Flunkins pointed out that Cornifer did say there's a village down below I could not map. And I think he even mentioned that there were violent bugs down there. Which are... Oh, look, violent bugs. Yeah, I'm still trying to fight like Hornet. This is great. Okay, so here we have Mantis Village. This is not going to go so well. But I don't care. I promised crappy, and crappy it shall be. I forgot how to do... Okay. Strike, dash, strike, dash. Got it. I forgot how to fight those guys. Strike, dash. Nope. Uh-oh. 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 Oh, God. Everything is ruined. Yeah, the soldier ant, the beefy ants, or the soldier ants in Hunter's March and Silksong. Actually, I think I mentioned it when I was playing Silksong for the first of 7 times. But Ari and William said that their movesets are as complicated as the Hornet boss fight moveset in this game. And they're just normal mooks. In a late game area that you get tricked into doing too early. Okay. Yeah, and see, we're still off the map. Yeah, we're... Okay. I don't need to kill absolutely every mantis. Do I? Do I need to kill absolutely every mantis? Oh, no. Do I need to kill every mantis? Clearly I don't. Stops to kill every mantis. Immediately after saying that. Okay. Oops. Oh! I never noticed that. We can't get back up. Once we drop... Oh, okay. Once we drop down there, we have a point of no return. Isn't that interesting? We have to get... I never caught that before. Which actually, points of no return are actually very useful in games like this. Because as the game keeps expanding the explorable space, you know, there's just more and more places you can go and things you can do. It gets harder and harder to keep track of it. And so every so often, the game will throw a point of no return on you to make sure that you complete a certain activity or loop or area and sort of reduce your cognitive load. So now I don't have to think about all the places I had visited before. I only have to think about this path right now because I can't go back. And but I never noticed that I just can't make that jump before. Though maybe that's part of the update too. And now notice I am following the signs because there are signs that say bench. And it is very nice that there are signs that say bench before you go into a particularly challenging area. So, oh, and here it is. Here's bench. Alright, we have benched. Though I guess if I hadn't hit the bench, that wouldn't have been a point of no return. So, hard to say. I don't think I can do this yet. I feel like Gandalf in Moria, where I vaguely remember everything. There is a secret here, right? There's a little... The wall doesn't quite come down, but there's a foreground. That's the other thing. I keep forgetting to use my spells. Okay. Alright. So yeah, we are locked in. And also, this is one of those areas that we might start to suspect is sort of a transitional area. It's on the border with another area because of those pipes that are there leaking water. Because the game is very good at showing you the relationship between the zones in the zone you're in. So even though technically we can't transition to the other area from this side, we have to come around from the other side. All right, you get to live. All right. This is really ominous too, because he mentioned the village of very violent bugs, and now we have this stake with these masks on a stake, and the only way to actually enter it is to go up here. Okay. Okay. And I have just run out of things to say. I guess I could finish my point from before that I think Ari and William, they understand both intuitively and consciously the design of the games that they're trying to emulate. And it is clear from how they talk about the design, and it is clear from some of the decisions that they made. That said, it is also it's interesting because there are some decisions that I do think they made that were more sort of like, more sort of just throw it in kind of decisions. Or decisions that actually weren't very well thought out. And I'll mention one right now because it's already been visible. Or maybe we already talked about it. I think I did talk about the corpse running mechanic. I don't think the corpse running mechanic is actually a good fit for this game. And I think I talked about that in the first episode. Someone in the chat, if I didn't talk about it or someone wants to hear the speech again, let me know. But otherwise, I will move past it. I don't think the corpse running mechanic is a good fit for a Metroidvania-style game. Also, we just got an awesome item, the Ninja Gaiden. That's another game from this game's pedigree, is Ninja Gaiden. Especially because we have now you have the wall jump now, where we stick to the wall, or slide along the wall. And honestly, so this item, and here we have a little bit of a mini platforming challenge to see if we've already kind of mastered using our wall slide plus the dash. Okay. Chunk Flunkins is telling me I didn't talk about the corpse running mechanic. All right, fine. We will talk about the corpse running mechanic because we're going to go up before we go down. Okay. So, corpse running is the name of the mechanic where if you die in the game, you leave behind your corpse and you have to... Oh, yeah, Great Kate. Yeah, it's probably Mega Man X. They were big Mega Man X fans. It probably wasn't Ninja Gaiden, though Ninja Gaiden did have a lot of... It had wall jumping and flipping. So... You are placed in a very annoying spot there, my friend. Okay, so corpse running is the mechanic where, and you're in an annoying spot too. Corpse running is the mechanic where if you die, you leave behind your corpse, and then it has all your money on it, or all your souls, or it has certain power-ups or experience points or whatever, or equipment, and you have to make it back to your body to retrieve that. And obviously, even though it's been around for a long time, and it was especially prevalent in online role-playing games, especially MMORPGs like EverQuest. It was in the original World of Warcraft. All right, what do we want to do here? Okay. I guess we have to do the Mantis Lords, right? I mean, we have to do that. Even though I'm going to embarrass myself terribly. Okay. You know what? Also, I'm going to buy the quill. Next time I'm in town, I'm going to buy the quill. There is no reason for me to insist on the map not being filled in. It doesn't fill in until I fill it in. So, it's fine. And it's just making it harder to talk about things. Okay, corpse running. Okay. Corpse running became a very popular mechanic because of the Soulsborne series. Specifically, I mean, Demon Souls did it. But really, it was Dark Souls 1, the breakout hit of that franchise that no one expected to do so well, least of all FromSoft. But nonetheless, it won. And so it became sort of an alternative to the old death systems of bygone eras. And Shovel Knight did something similar where if you died, you left money behind. And then you know, if you got back to your money, the whole point of it, and the reason why it worked particularly well in Dark Souls, is because the whole point of it was that it leaned into the themes of the game, where you were supposed to keep pushing ahead and keep fighting the challenges in front of you. And as long as you kept making at least as much progress the next time as you had the previous time, then you weren't really losing anything. It was only if you failed to make a little bit more progress every time that it actually cost you anything. And that's a very good mechanic in a game like Dark Souls, which is themed around persistence, and which, despite it being very open and spaghetti designed, is actually a fairly linear game. It's actually a very, very strongly guided non-linearity game. The problem with games like Hollow Knight, and it's not the problem with games like Hollow Knight, we're going to explore down now, because this is not a problem with these games, it's what makes these games awesome, is that they are very exploration-based. And the idea is that you're supposed to go in one direction and then discover that you can't go any further in that direction. And so you head in a different direction and go looking for a power-up or a different path. And sometimes you can go around in a loop, and sometimes you were someplace you weren't supposed to be. And if you're facing a boss that is difficult, you can always go looking for power-ups, like you can go look for more health pickups or more missile expansions or whatever, and so you always have this option of kind of wandering around, exploring in different directions, and if something goes bad in one path, more often than not, you kind of do want to go check a different way. Fighting these guys when I can't jump over them in tight corridors is a pain in the ass, which I'm sure is exactly how it was intended. So the corpse running mechanic I actually do not find to be a particularly good fit. But it was very popular at the time. Ari and William were designing this game, because it had been seen as something of a revolution to the idea of, you know, a life system or like a save point, or just like a, you die and then you lose your progress and respawn where you were, just going up. So it was seen as revolutionary at the time, and so every game. Whoops, no. So this guy will not let you in. This is interesting. Like he banged that lever. Okay, not allowed. Got it. Yeah, Mario Odyssey also, like, that's stupid. Right, Mario Odyssey, it costs you coins instead of lives, but the only reason you ever collected coins was because they gave you lives. So basically they removed the exchange medium, but it was still the same thing. And then the only other thing is that I think if you ran out of coins, you were still fine. Okay. Here we go now. Mantis Lords. We are going to die the first time on purpose so that I can show off something that I think is very important. But I don't think that I have to die to them. We'll see. I might have to die to them. I might not have the mojo to beat them. The Mantis Lords, absolutely, hands down, the best fight in this game. Okay. This is the most satisfying fight in the game, and that's why I'm just going to let them die. I've just announced that I'm going to get killed here intentionally, because there is something that happens when you die here that is very clever, that once again shows that Ari and William knew what they were doing. So we go back to the bench. This, by the way, was why it was so helpful to open all those doors. So as I was working my way down to the Mantis Lords, I was also making it a point to open all the doors so that I could have an easier time getting back down to the Mantis Lords. Okay, but after you die to the Mantis Lords, our good friend Quirrell is here. And this is interesting. He's given us a little lore. He's like, all the other bugs that you fought are like mindless and infected, but these guys aren't. They're just defending their territory. But then he says something else. He says, this is optional. And if you can't handle this, you might want to go to the next area and upgrade your sword first, and then come back, which is very important for people who don't play Metroidvania games to hear, is that this is actually optional. That, hey, Dahagley. So that this is an optional area. It's okay if you skip it for now. It is challenging, and sometimes, the bigger lesson here, sometimes you will face a challenge that is beyond you, and you will want to go see if you can't power up a bit before you take on the challenge. That's okay. That's how this game works. And so it's two pieces of advice there. It's not just the go back and maybe this isn't for you just yet, but it's also telling you that's something you can do in this game, which as the game starts taking us off the rails a little bit, will become very important. This is something that they will completely fail to do in the sequel with Hunter's March, by the way. All right. I am probably going to not talk because I love this fight, and we are just going to fight it out. So just enjoy the show, unless I get killed, and then it's going to be sad. I will be so sad. Whoops. Alright. Kind of need to remember their moves. It also has, like, awesome music. I don't need to be dashing so much. I'm obsessed with the dash. Yeah, damn it, I dashed right into its butt. Okay. The scythe blade thing, too, is your window to heal. Still playing a little too close. So the scythe blade gives you enough time to get one heal in, but my distance is just a little bit off. Whoa. Oh, okay. That was stupid. I forgot that the scythe blade comes low and high sometimes. Like if she's They are a bit tanky at this point in the game if you haven't upgraded your nail. But it is now not over. And one of the most brilliant things about this boss fight is now you have two of them. It is a paired boss done really well, actually. Because it lets you... Okay. Alright, shut up. Oh. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I do not feel good about this. Oh, and they're not giving me the heal opportunity one, because it's got to be the slow one where the two come together. And then you just kind of hover there, and then you screw it up, and then you take the hit anyway. Yeah, fine. Oh, shit. Also, when they do the two that hover together in the middle of the arena, sometimes one of them is slightly lower than the other. And the hitbox will clip you in the noggin if you're not careful. All right. Got it. Okay. Oof. Okay. You guys can chill with the hip, They are really tanky. I forgot how tanky... You complain about bosses in Silksong, but these guys are the tankiest. Whoa, whoa, no! No! Ah, crap. No. Oh. Alright. One of the neatest things about them as a paired boss is that they actually... the whole... Damn it. Okay. That broke my groove. I'm sad now. But honestly, my muscle memory has been killed by Silksong, and I haven't played this game in 9 months, I think. So, I'm not going to beat myself up too much about it. But we are going to beat the Mantis Lords, and I am going to lock in. But so, starting with one of them and then going to two is a very smart decision because they all have identical movesets. And that boss fight is very, very keyed on, or is very, very much... Really? I clipped those little spikes with my Tootsies, huh? Okay. I mentioned that there were a couple of different ways to design a boss fight, basically. And I mentioned it as sort of the Mega Man design philosophy, where you can you have the boss that basically is highly patternized. In which case, what you have to do is you have to teach the player to read their lead-ins, to read their wind-up animations. And that's exactly what fighting the first Mantis Lord does. I'm going to comment on the Cogwork Dancers in a minute. No, what we're going to do first is we're just going to beat this fight now. All right. Just going to lock in. No commentary from me. Oh no! Other than the occasional, oh no! I I blew it. I keep forgetting the scything attack sometimes comes high and sometimes comes low. Like there. Oh no! I didn't have the time for that. Okay, I had the time for it now. Started off so strong too. It was looking so good. Nope. Nope. Went low instead of high. That's become my kryptonite. And then it throws off your whole rhythm. I could have gotten a heal in there. I was close enough in that once, just standing there, that the one Mantis Lord's spear was just like touching my eyeball. Okay. All right, now I feel like they're teasing me with it. I really probably should take my next heal opportunity to actually heal. Whoa. I think I did it too late. Okay, they let me get away with it. You gotta decide, like, that heal window is not very big. You gotta decide early that that's what you're doing with your life, is I'm gonna heal now. Uh-oh. Oh, no. I can't... Oh, no! Alright. Alright. One more try, and then we're just bypassing it until we get the sword. I'm not too proud to admit that I've lost my mojo. And I'm not gonna make us go through repeated attempts here. Cogwork Dancers is a great fight. Okay? It is a very good fight. But It is basically them doing the Mantis Lords all over again, less artfully. Okay? And, like, this is the most important thing. Like, the Cogwork dancers. Hello, Melissa De Silva J1D. Hello, Melissa De Silva. Whatever. Yeah. Hi, Melissa. So, and the reason I say it's inartfully done is because the telegraphing on the Cogwork dancers is entirely a trick. Oh, Biscuit wants to come and sit. That's going to make this next attempt fun. All right, we got to pause for a second so I can have a kitty climb up on me. You want to come and sit? All right, pause for a moment. We got a kitty coming. Yep. Which would mean something if I actually had a camera, but I don't. Just don't rub the microphone. Okay, we're going to mute. All right, she's settled. She's in position. This is going to be worse. Okay. You couldn't have come the first 2 times so that I could blame you for having lost my ability to fight the Mantis Lords. Ow! Okay, I have a cat digging claws. Ow, 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 ow. Sweetie, okay. Well, that's over. Did you get the lifeboat that's in the room? No. Okay. Game's a little quiet. Okay. Alright. That attempt didn't count. One more because of the cat. Now, I'll be honest, Melissa, I didn't even, like... I did not know that the lifeblood was there until I only recently learned about it. And so it's just not in my whatchamacallit, muscle memory. I guess I could show off where it is, and there's no point in standing on pride at this point, because I have completely blown this fight. And this is worse than the lace incident. And you guys, that was good too. That was good. The main thing, as I said, is Silksong has ruined my muscle memory for Hollow Knight. This is where it is, right? It's up here. Yeah, I never knew this was here. Yeah, I got it. I know where it is. It's just not a habit of mine because I didn't know where it was the first many times I played this game. Alright, this is it. Last attempt. And then we move on, because this is optional right now. And they're just really tanky until you have the first nail upgrade. I did have to send Biscuit away. See, it's not like I can't do it. It's just that I break my groove or I make a stupid mistake and then I just can't recover. And then the arrows compound because the healing window in the second fight is a little bit narrow for my old man reflexes. Oops. Ah! See, that's it. And I was doing great, and then all of a sudden it was like I had an aneurysm. Okay. There we go. I can do it. It is also significant, by the way, that it is an opt-in fight. Where, like, number one, you have to talk to them to initiate the fight. And number two, the verb that appears on the screen is not talk, but rather challenge. So now, we're going to go a little bit into this. Just a little ways into this. But I am not going to... I'm not going to go too deep into Deep Nest. I have no desire to do it. We're trying to do this in some kind of order. But... So, it is very clear, like, Deep Nest is a very dark, very unwelcoming area. Everything about the sound design, the graphical design, the fact that it's so tight, the fact that we find Cornifer right away and he is cowering. And then he says, hey, this is not a place that you maybe want to be until maybe later on in the game. And we'll buy the map, but we're not going to... And notice that the only thing the map shows us right now is how to get out. Okay. Like, it just shows us, like, there's another way back to Fungal Wastes. And nothing else. So... But we're going to accept what the game has been telling us, and we are just not going to play in Deep Nest for right now. We're going to come here when the designers actually meant us to. Which, by the way, there's a very important thing that Ari and William were talking about when they were talking about how they developed this game. And what they said was they started with a very standard... also these guys are not violent anymore. Unless you whack them, then they'll fight back. But there's no reason to do that. Oh, there is a reason. We could fill in the journal, but we don't care about filling in the journal. But interestingly, now that these guys are peaceful, we may be able to get past this one guy who no longer slams the gate shut on us. And so now we can come in here. We get a bench. I thought there was a secret there for some reason, but there is not. We get a bench, we get a treasure chest, we get a charm, the mark of pride, which makes our nail longer. I think that's what it does. I think it makes our nail longer. And then we jump into the spikes because we just weren't watching. No, okay. Yeah, okay. So that's it. That's the Mantis Village. And it very smartly avoids the newbie trap by putting Quirrell there to tell you you're allowed to not take on this boss fight yet. And in fact, there is even a guy who will upgrade your nail for you in the next area if you just keep going. Okay. But we're not going to do that either. Okay, what we are going to do... What we are going to do is... As I pointed out, that game... Oh, first of all, there was stuff down below. We're going to do some item cleanup. And I think that actually the game sort of... We're going to do some item cleanup. I'm going to dissolve my items in acid. That'll get them all nice and clean. Basically autoclave everything. So stupid. Okay. I got a couple of charms. Yeah, I'm just going to leave the compass on. But I am going to pick up the... We're going to pick up the quill. Okay. So there is a... So at the beginning of Green Path, there was this sign that says, you know, head to the city at the heart of the kingdom, or, you know, head to the city that was the heart of the ancient empire, kingdom, whatever. And all your wishes will come true. And Elderbug talked about the same idea of, you know, going down and looking for the, you know, ancient Hallow Nest and what have you. And then when we saw Silksong, or Hornet is her actual name, I know her name isn't Silksong. Then when we saw Hornet just a little while ago, there was a sign that said, oh, hey, this is the end of the path now. Beyond here is the city. Oops. Okay. Yeah, this little... He also slides down the wall a lot faster than Silksong does. All right. So and then we have our little platforming challenge here, which I think I talked about this in the first one. These little platforming challenges are implemented where you have just these little gauntlets of here's a challenge, usually involving the pickup that you just acquired, and at the end you'll get some kind of a reward. And in this case, our reward is Britta the fanfic writer. Britta is a water filter. Britta is a fanfic writer. And then when you complete these little challenges and have gotten your reward, it loops you back around to the start so that it doesn't dead end you out and it doesn't make you go through the challenge again, which is very smart design for what those things are. They are just these little side passages to complete a little challenge to earn a reward. And now we can climb our way back up. And the mantises are not violent. Anyway. So there's that sign that says, hey, you know, here's the city at the heart of the kingdom now. And you're done with that path. Which suggests that there is a major transition coming. Right? Like, this is it. We're closing out a chapter, closing out an act, which you sort of are, but aren't really. But at the same time, this is the first area in the game where the area loops back around to the beginning of the game, with that passage back up to Forgotten Crossroads. And it even deliberately called it out to us as soon as we bought the map, that, hey, this goes back to that first area. So, between the threshold effect, which I described in an article recently as when the players realize that they are on a major transition between one chapter or one area or one significant arc and another, they tend to pause and take stock and think, are we really ready to move on? So that sign that says you're about to approach Hallow Nest is a threshold effect. It's telling you, you're about to close this path now and go somewhere significant. And it's also giving you an opportunity to go back by saying, here's an easy way to get back to the first area of the game. And you do have now 3 significant movement power-ups. And I know you remember at least some things you could have gotten. Maybe it's time to go back there and check in with the Grubfather and get items that you missed and things like that. And so I think the game strongly wants you to go back. Plus, you may have built up a lot of money if you haven't been dying. And so it's also a good time to go visit the merchant and buy stuff. And that's why I actually should not have gone and bought the lantern the way I did. I should have saved it, because that's exactly, this is where the game wants me to do that kind of a thing. It's just saying, hey, give it a thought. So we're going to climb back up to Forgotten Crossroads. And, actually, actually, I remembered something so hard I almost threw myself in lava, or acid. No, okay, so, there was also a passage in this direction that we couldn't follow. There was a wall, because now we can get over walls. It's right behind this explodey guy that I fell right on, and then just walked into, right? Okay. Kate also commented, and I didn't respond, but also commented that if you use the spells against the bosses, it does make the boss fights go faster. And yes, I have forgotten that as well. I'm not sure, by the way, down there are platforms. You don't have to do it that way. The game doesn't expect you to do that. There's platforms you can hop across. I'm just being acrobatic. Except there where I just didn't jump off the wall. Oh, okay. Oh, right. That's a mushroom billboard. Okay. I'll show what those do. If I don't... Yeah, my mad gamer skills. All right, yeah, we'll go this way first. Oh no, we won't. We're gonna do a loop around first, because this is the other spot. Whoa, whoa, whoa! That was a little low on that jump. Okay, another charm, the Spore Shroom. We'll talk about that one in a bit. But now we'll take that secret passage. Okay. This is the other terribleness. Okay, so we come this way. Alright. Wow, he's annoying, huh? And again, like, the visual language of this game is so well done, because he's like pulsing with those pustules. You know what? We'll continue this conversation in a moment. Because he's pulsing with those pustules. There's the mist of orange poison in the background. His eyes are orange and swirly, and he's talking like a crazy person. Oh, and here is this, by the way. This is the other way that you can end up in Deep Nest. And immediately upon falling down here, bugs crawl out of the ground and start eating your face. And then they disappear again. And they never ever stop. And we don't want to go down deeper. Okay. So this is the other way into Deep Nest. And this way, if you fall in, it doesn't really tell you, hey, you don't want to be here, but it does show you. Because you are just swarmed by these horrible insects immediately. Okay, and at this point, you can't do enough damage to really keep them under control. They appear in large numbers. It's tough to get a window to heal because they pop out from under you. So everything about this area says, you shouldn't be here. Of course, you may not realize that you can get out, and then you take the path all the way down to Cornifer. Oh, those guys. Right, spitty guys. Oh, right, I have mana. And these guys. And this is it too, like, this is the worst area of the game, and you're not supposed to be here, and you should leave and come back later. And then I'm going and looking for every little bit of money. Is this also the... Oh, no, okay. I may be... I'm landing myself in trouble here, too. Because I cannot do enough damage for this. Okay, so we've got 4 grubs here. Anybody who knows this game knows what's going to happen. I'm probably going to get killed by these things. Alright. So there's that. Because fuck you, that's why. Alright, one of them's gotta be real, right? Yeah, you're real. The best part is how screamy they are. Screamy and frantic. So actually, one of the more interesting things about the enemy movement patterns in this game is how many of the ground-based enemies use speed changes as a primary means of challenge. Whether it's like those guys, by the way, the fake grubs, they're just very fast. They are just much faster than you, and they also change direction faster than you. So they're really tough to just cope with. But then there's a lot of enemies that speed up. There's a lot of enemies that just like speed. Oh no, shit! I fell. Crap! It's like, why can I do all that pogo bouncing shit and then I just can't make a completely normal jump that any human being can make? Okay. Anyway, speed changes, enemies, the enemies, there are a lot of enemies that use erratic speed, sudden speed changes, and sudden direction changes against you. As a primary means of challenge, and I think we're out. So, there we go. I'm glad we came this way. I'm glad we did this. I'm glad we took this journey together. Now let's never speak of it again until we have to. Except, now, so this is another thing, because I talked about the significance of Fog Canyon earlier, and how it goes by like a fart in the wind, and only later on do you realize, like, oh, what was the deal with that? Because it's a late game area. And this Deep Nest is another late game area. In fact, Fog Canyon and Deep Nest are areas that you that are part of sort of the same late game quest, let's call it. So the game isn't shy about showing you where you will go. I mentioned... So I was talking about... That's my segue, by the way, is I'm now going to talk about something that I deliberately plan to talk about at this point. So my segue is so I mentioned... Oh, there's a thing over there. Let's go get the thing. Whoa, there's a thing there. Okay. All right, let's reset here. Let's reset. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing there. I forgot there's a thing up there. We don't want to leave a thing behind. Okay. Oh, I didn't go back to Queen Station either. Oh, did I? Did I get the mask in Queen Station? Does anybody remember? Because I wasn't paying attention. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I've never played this game before. What even is a PlayStation? Was that a kind of Super Nintendo add-on? Seriously, does anyone remember if I actually got the... Okay. Thank you, Kate. Okay. You know, at my age... Alright. Okay. So I was talking about mechanics that I don't think are a good fit for this game. And I talked about why I don't think corpse running is actually a good mechanic for Hollow Knight. I also want to mention fast travel here. Okay. And I understand why the fast travel system was added, but I don't think it was added in the best way. So here's the deal. I was just talking about how the way this scenario is laid out, the game wants you to get to this point, recognize that you're on a threshold, and then say, this is a good time for me to go back and search previously explored areas to see if there's anything new I can get, and spend my money and go back up to the surface, and then come back down. And it even gives me an easy way to do that by connecting fungal wastes right into the bottom of the Forgotten Crossroads. And it's actually really significant where it spits me out here. Because, okay, well, apart from that, that's not the right direction. Apart from that, the rattly floor. Okay. Because this place where it spits me out, it puts me in a place where I can almost immediately get to an item that I can only acquire now that I have the power-ups for it. Right here, there is another mask shard. And I couldn't get up here before because I didn't have the claws or the dash or whatever it is. Now I can. Immediately after coming up that path. And you can see how this one is challenging me on my dash and on my mantis claws. Do I have, can I use those power-ups now? And if I do, here I get a quarter hit, or actually I have a full mask now. Life is good. And then if I continue in this direction, there's going to be another something in a little while. Okay? So the game is very deliberately laid out to take advantage of what I'm calling the threshold effect and what I call the convenience loop, where it drops you back close to where you can do something, all to get you to think, hey, let me go back and re-explore, because that's another staple of the genre, right? Is once you get some power-ups, rather than moving forward, sometimes you want to go back and see if there's anything new that you can get to. And so the game is using psychology to get you to think to do exactly that. None of which is necessary because the fast travel system exists. So at any given moment, I just have the opportunity to travel back to any previously explored area. And by the way, now I can get up here either by using the dashy thing or by using the manti claws. And now I can get into this Laughing Pink place. And here's Laughing Pink Lady. Okay, who she sells. Oh yeah, she sells charms. And we can look down her list of charms that she has. This one makes your spells stronger, which is a very nice one. And we're going to go ahead and buy that because I do use a lot of spells when I remember I have them. And she also sells charm notches. And they unlock... if you read the dialogue, as you find more charms, you also unlock more charm notches. And in fact, if I really wanted to game it, and we will, I'll just buy this cheapest charm, Steady Body, which no one ever uses, just so that I can buy another charm notch. And now I have... Whoops, sorry. I didn't know I was loaded. Alright, and now... Because I do want to be able to throw on... Alright, we're going to have to drop the compass. I have to keep the money charm on because of my weird obsession. Otherwise, you'll watch me picking up literally every coin. Okay, so the Shaman Stone is one of my favorites. It makes the spells in this game, which are already very powerful, it makes the spells extremely powerful. They do more damage, but it also expands the hitbox on the whatchamacallit, on the thing that the spell, the fireball, my little fireball. It expands my fireballs. Like the hitbox is much bigger. Anyway, that's it. That's all I was trying to say. So, fast travel. Okay. I don't think the fast travel system is a good fit for this game, but I also understand that it has to be there. Yes, Vengeful Soul. Thanks, Junk Flunkins. But I also understand why it has to be there. I do think that at times it kind of it works at cross purposes to the excellent scenario design. And that was just one example that I gave where, you know, in this area, the game is already helping me find my way. And having the fast travel available undermines the lesson to begin with. But on top of that, oh no. I don't know, I just suddenly, my brain just died. But one of the reasons why the fast travel needs to be in the game is because they decided to have villages and shops. Okay, and especially like the village at the top of the game, you obviously need, once you have a village with vendors in it, you obviously need a quick way to get back there. Okay, so especially because of the way the money system works, where if you die when you're carrying too much money, you lose your money. So you never want to be carrying too much money. You want to be able to spend your money right away. And so because this game implemented shops and vendors, and they're scattered all around the world, it also needed a way for you to move around quickly to get back to places that you had previously explored. And I get that, but I also think that it really does wreck the design of the way the map is laid out to kind of lead you around and keep you from getting lost and teach you things about the gameplay loops. Oh, and I got the Grubsong charm. Yay. And also, that's another thing, is that we periodically want to check in with the Grubfather and get our rewards. You know. And I'm not sure, I think there is one area in Green Path that we can now get to. We can also get up here. There's a little secret here. And there's one area in Green Path that we can get to. So it's kind of worth taking the long way around. And I did say that I was going to go ahead and buy the... So this is the quill. And what the quill does is it allows you to update the map as you sit at benches. Artetivo, thanks for showing up. I actually answered your question. Like, I called you out by name, and earlier in this discussion, I actually did a whole spiel, not just on your question, but also on the other better question you should have asked instead. So you're going to have to go back and rewatch the recording now. This is Bretta's house. By finding her, we have now unlocked it. But thank you for leaving the question in the comments. I appreciate it. I do promise you that there was an answer and that it was reasonably well thought out, except it was broken up by, I think, numerous mantis disasters. So, there's not really a, we don't need to do the dialogue stuff. Nothing, And the other thing is now, I'm not being very careful about what I'm buying. I'm just buying everything. Because again, one of the things I insist on is by the end of the game, having bought literally everything. Okay. So the only other thing we're going to do now is we're going to cut back through Green Path, because I think there is a way open, and I might be wrong, but that's okay. That's something that we're going to discover together, and then we'll get back down to where we were. It is because of my feeling on the fast travel that I tend not to use it very much, and I do no, they don't actually, Chunk Flunkins, because the quill does not add any detail until after you have explored rooms that weren't on the map already, and then rested at a bench. I will demonstrate that in the next area we get to, so that you'll see exactly what the quill is doing. Okay. But gradually Cornifer's maps do change the details that they show. As noted in different areas, they actually work in different ways. In the first, in Forgotten Realms, in the Forgotten Realms and in Green Path, they it showed us the goal, it led us to the goal, and then we were left to figure out from there how to move on to the next area. And then once we got to Fungal Wastes, it showed us the next area, but it didn't show us where to get the ability that we needed to get there. It didn't show us where the boss was. In fact, technically there wasn't even a boss in Fungal Wastes, except that we fought the Mantis Lords, which were an optional boss that we can fight later. So again, this is where the game established a pattern in two areas, and then in the third, well, technically the fourth, but Fog Canyon doesn't count. And then in the third area, it breaks that pattern. Huh. I never went up this way, huh? Okay. Well, that's fine, too. I guess I just forgot about this. Whoops. Forgot about you, too. And you. Okay. This is becoming a disaster. Oh, and I left money behind, which is the worst crime. But now we can actually use the maps to find the places that we need to explore, which is a reason for the map upgrade. I'll even say that as much as I did like the map system, and I found the map system fairly revolutionary, it was. And I think I commented on this in the first episode too. It was fairly revolutionary, but it wasn't as groundbreaking as people thought it was, because people forgot what the maps did in, like, Super Metroid, for example. That said, I do think the whole quill thing is kind of a waste. Because as soon as you get the first map, Cornifer says, And if you want the map to update itself, you need to go buy the quill. Oh, and also if you want to know where your location is, you need to go buy the compass. And then those are one-time purchases. And you see now that I'm sitting at a map, it updates, at a bench, it updates the map and fills in the areas that I just explored. And they're one-time purchases, and once you've made those purchases, it's, you know, it's done, and you have that feature forever, which almost makes it kind of meaningless, if you understand what I mean. It's like, yeah, I had to go do this thing. I had to go do this little fetchy quest just to get this one item to give me the map, give me full functionality on my map. And once I've done it once, I've had it for the entire rest of the game. Wow, that was great. I just rubbed my face on those thorns. Okay. No, that's not the place I can go. That's a place I'm going to have to come back to another time. This, by the way, is a thing that I think Mark Brown or Adam Millard, one of the game design essayists on the YouTubes, refers to as map poking, where you open up your map, you find a direction that you haven't explored yet, and then you go check it out and see what's there, and oh, I can't go that way yet. And then you do it again and again and again. And honestly, Hollow Knight is pretty well designed because you don't have to do much of it. You know? The other thing with the compass, which marks your location on the map, is it takes up a charm slot. Which, fine, but charm slots are very valuable, especially in the early game. And the charm slots are doing something very important in this game too, which is allowing you to adjust your play style. Like, right, I tend to play spell heavy, and so the charms that get me more mana and make my spells more powerful lean into my play style, where if, you know, people who play more combative, they might choose the charms that do more damage or increase their nail length or things like that. And then there's the other weird charms that interact with other things that you have. So it lets you modify your playstyle without radically changing the core controls of the game. Anyway. I don't like that the compass takes up a charm slot. It seems unnecessary. Like, especially for a function that is so basic, because, like, once you start filling in the map, and the map becomes much less, like, you look at this map, and it's mostly just these big open rectangles with vague shapes, and if you don't have a really good spatial memory and aren't building a mental model of the space, then you need the compass. There's no way around it. In order to use the map for its intended purpose, you need to have the compass, because otherwise you just don't know where you are. Is this another dead end where I'm going to discover that this path takes me nowhere until later in the game? Oh, okay, no. Oh, okay, this is one side of a shortcut to somewhere else. But then there is this path up here. Oh, and then there is a place in Fog Canyon I can go to. Okay, so... Which, again, you know what's interesting? Again, I'm gonna rag on the fast travel. I'm gonna throw myself in the lava again, because acid, whatever. I'm gonna rag on the fast travel system a little bit more. By going back to the beginning of the game, and then having to work my way back and deliberately choosing not to walk, not to just take the quick path back through Forgotten Crossroads down to Fungal Waste where I was, but instead to also see where I could go in Green Path and Fungal Wastes and, you know, basically just retrace my path with these upgrades. I'm not necessarily required to remember everything. I just need to poke at areas that I couldn't explore before. Whereas if I make frequent use of the fast travel system, and I was just going to be like, well, okay, now I'm going to jump on the stag station, and then I'm going to try and remember, okay, there's a something I can do in this area, so I will take the stag there, and then there's a something I can do over there. It now forces me to actually keep a better catalog of the different places I could go than this, well, I'm just going to take the long way back approach. So it actually kind of works against the players building a list of explorable options. Because I'm pretty sure now I can go up here, right? And there's something up here. Yeah, there's something up here. I don't remember what it is, but... Oh. Oh, okay, I remember what it is. I'm not even going to apologize for taking his... Oh. Huh, I forgot there was a little gauntlet here. Or a little arena fight. Oh dear. With these little squid guys. Just going to end this the easy way. And then that guy gets hung up on the wall. Okay. Oh, no. Oh, right. My second spell. Nice little optional power-up. Second... Oops. There we go. Okay. And then a shortcut back. You don't have to... Oh, because I can't, because that was a drop. But I think there is something over there. Oh yeah, there's a pile of money. Can't leave a pile of money behind. Lord knows that. Okay. Wow. Wow, I missed like every platform. I am so... If this was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I could fly, because I'm so good at throwing myself at the ground and missing. And I like how there's these guys floating here, so that you can immediately try out your spell and be like, oh, that's awesome. Howling Wraiths is actually a spell that I did not appreciate how powerful it was until much later. I basically... The only thing I used was my little abyss, my soul shoot, the fireball. I'm just calling it the Hadouken because I can never remember the name. Okay, so the only spell I really ever used was the Hadouken. Oh, here's a neat thing too. With the expanded hitbox on the fireball Hadouken, you can sometimes, but not when I'm trying to show it off. When you hit the explodey jellyfishes, the hitbox will linger in their brain long enough to trigger it. But here's another thing you can do, is if you can knock them into the acid, their brain dissolves and doesn't explode. And that was the worst place to show that off, but... Anyway. So yeah, so I'm pretty down on the fast travel overall, and I think it makes for a weaker experience. But I understand why they added it. I understand why it's actually kind of necessary, especially because later on this game gets so sprawling that you just need it. The game is just too big to walk back and forth across by the end of the game. But I also know that the fast travel was added kind of late in the game, and that's why there are a number of places where it just really does break the otherwise well-designed layout of the map that kind of guides you where you need to be. And they talked about that in interview too. It was another one of those places where they said they designed a good linear Metroidvania progression, and then they added elements to let you break it. And one of those elements was, of course, the fast travel system. Now, the fast travel system isn't the worst because you can only use it to go back to places you've already been. You have to unlock the fast travel points. But, I don't want to go this way. I want to go down. So you can only use it to go to fast travel points you've already unlocked. But because they use so well those other psychological tools in the Metroidvania toolbox to use things like convenience and thresholds and salience to kind of get you where you need to go, the fast travel system does undermine a lot of those tools. Anyway, it's not a game breaker by any stretch. It doesn't ruin the game. And honestly, the game would probably be weaker without it. Because one of the problems with the Metroidvania genre is because it relies heavily on recontextualization as its primary means of basically, I didn't need to kill you. So basically, the idea is you pick up an item, and then because you have already seen things you could do with that item, you think, I can go back here, I can go back there, I can go check out this thing, I can go back to this area and pick up this item and what have you. So, in order for that to work, you need a lot of backtracking. Because, the whole game is built on the idea of walk until you reach an obstacle. Where the hell am I going? Where the hell is the bridge to Hallow Nest? There it is. It's up there. Okay. The problem is that backtracking is never as interesting as the decision to backtrack. Okay? So, the moment where you have that moment of saying, now I am going to go back to this place because I have this tool, that is a very interesting and fulfilling and rewarding moment. That's basically the moment most people play Metroidvania games for, is that moment of, now I can unlock this. And it's also a test of player skill, right? Because it tests your ability to remember. Wow. Alright, we're just gonna top off here. It's the curse of the talking and playing at the same time. I do the same thing trying to carry on a conversation while I'm driving, by the way. I'm constantly just crashing my car into things. If there's someone in the car with me, we're getting into an accident if I am having an interesting conversation. That's just how it be. Okay. Now we can close the loop. By the by. Because now we can chase Silksong by going up this way and using our Mantis-y Claw. And just... Oh. I also like that little gong noise whenever you find what the game considers to be a secret. I also just forgot to hit the... And I just... Yeah, okay. The game's just like, you know, here you go, champ. We're just gonna put you on the platform. You're trying. It's like just randomly I lose my ability to do things. This, by the way, remember when I showed you that the false knight is optional? Well, this is where you would be blocked if you didn't actually beat the false knight. Except we wouldn't be, because there is a way, because we have the lantern, we can actually kind of skip this area for a bit. We can get into the next area we need to. And in fact, we can enter this area from the wrong side and everything. So it's another place where you can just kind of circumvent the sequence. But it's not something that most players do on their first try. You know? And now we are entering what is the objectively best area of the game. Though subjectively, the best area of the game is Crystal Peak. But objectively, it is this area. Everyone knows it. And also we end up with more... We're starting to get into more complex enemies now with more complex movesets. Like the explodey bats. More complex moveset, like dive and blow up. You know. More complex movesets like this guy, who has a single attack. He will do a combo attack. He will jump backwards. This area also has the best music. Best music, best ambiance. Honestly, I don't want to keep ragging on Silksong. And I do like Silksong. But there was nothing in Silksong that hit like City of Tears. The area that we're in now. Oh dear. And again, Quirrell. Though actually, I think we're at about the 2-hour mark here. So I think this is actually a great place to just call the stream here. Yeah, so we're going to end the stream here for the night. Thanks everybody for coming to hang out. I really enjoy doing this, and I really enjoy the interactions, and that's it. So just thanks everybody for hanging out, and I hope everybody had a good weekend and has a good week. I mistakenly told members of my Discord community last week that there was a live chat tomorrow night. Which meaning last Monday, and I had the schedule wrong. But there is a live chat tomorrow night in the Discords for supporters of the Angry GM community. So I will see some of you tomorrow night, and the rest of you I will see next week or next Sunday night here again as we continue our crappy, casual, terrible, awful, no good, very bad Hollow Knight playthrough.